Hi, it's Sarah, and this is journal entry number 11, To Kill a Mockingbird. I'll be discussing trait theories of personality, the 16 factor, and the big 5 factors of personality traits. I'll be using terms from our course textbook and comparing them to scenes from the 1962 movie. So I'm going to discuss Atticus. I think he was always my favorite. I've always, even when I was a kid, I loved his words of wisdom. They would always make me kind of cry, kind of hiding it in class though. And so I want to discuss him, estimating where he would fall on the traits, some of the traits in the 16 factor personality chart. So I feel like he scores high in warmth. I like that he reads to his daughter every night, and he is so understanding and patient of her, even though she's a little wild child. And but he doesn't try to stifle her personality. Um, he's very responsive in a positive way. And okay, so for intellect, I feel like he scores really high for intellect, not only because he's a lawyer, but the way he thinks about things. He's logical, even with his stories to his children. Um, my example is when he questions the young lady Mayella in the courtroom, and he's asking her how Tom could have hit her, even though he had lost all um, mobility in the arm or his left arm. And after she said he was hitting her with his left arm. Sorry. And emotional stability. I feel like he is maybe a little shaky, but otherwise really stable and calm on the outside. He shows empathy for others, not only for his children, but for um, his neighbors, his Tom, who he's representing, people that most of the town are judging or gossiping about. He, I think he has a quote in the movie. It might not be quite right. I can't think of it right now, but um, where he's talking to the kids and how they should think about walking in someone else's shoes um, before they judge. Dutifulness. It's another one. Conscientiousness. He defends Tom, even though the rumors and the name calling and the danger that he's posing to himself and his family. Open mindedness. He's curious and open minded. Even to the mean old lady who calls his poor daughter little ugly girl. And but he tells the kids that she's struggling with an addiction, and that's what makes her causes her to behave that way. He's an independent thinker. He's social and outgoing. Um, he swoons the old lady on the porch. I like that part when he just diverts her attention away from Scout and talks about how beautiful her flowers are and how lovely she looks, and just made her day. And that is very sweet and makes him the outgoing guy and independent and emotionally mature thinker. Okay, one of my favorite topics, the Big Five, and we'll talk about what I think as Atticus, or where Atticus is on this scale. I am not always crazy about my results. I want to score higher in conscientiousness, but maybe I can find something that will either help me feel more like somebody who's has order in their life. Anyway, um, openness. I feel like Atticus is practical, but he also has a genuine curiosity and a love for humanity. Even though he sees the logical side of everything, he still shows a lot of kindness towards people. And that's kind of, you don't really see that a whole lot. People using what they say, both sides of their brain. Um, of course, an example of that would be his different points of view about social issues, and he also educates his children about this. So he is wanting to make sure that his children treat human beings the same way. Excuse me. Conscious, sorry, conscientiousness again. He's dependable. He's self-disciplined. He's a punctual man, and he's organized. I wish I was more organized. And he is hardworking. And, even though it's the Depression era and, everybody's broke, he's taking, he's letting them pay him with firewood, with food supplies, whatever they can pay with. And then we have his extroversion, which I think that's kind of a hard one. I would say that he's extroverted because he's so brave. He's brave in the courtroom, but maybe he just turns a certain part of him on for that. Because otherwise, he's kind of quiet. He's reserved, but he is assertive. Assertive in the courtroom, in his daily social acquaintances, and with his children. Um, an example of this is when he has to shoot the rabid dog. He's calm, he's reserved, but he takes care of business. He shoots the animal. And, the kids, I think, find a new respect for him. They didn't know that side of him who was kind of like a tough guy, but still cool. Okay, agreeableness. Atticus, I feel like he scores high in this category, but not. I don't think he's gullible. He's just trustful, and he sees the good side in people. He wants to see the good in people first. He's generally good-natured and soft-hearted. An example, when the man spit on him, he just, wiped it off and just walked right past him. He showed a lot of restraint. Of course, with Mr. Radley, he was kind. He told his children to stay away from those poor people. They've had enough problems in their life. And he's always teaching his children how to show the kindness that he feels like all humans deserve. And neuroticism. Atticus shows stability, but I think that he's hiding some of his grief because he overworks a lot, and he don't spend a lot of time with his kids. And I feel like an example of this one would be when his son's hiding up in the tree, and he was not going to come down until his dad plays the church sport with him, and dad won't do contact sports, and I feel like that's what he might feel guilty about missing out on. All right. For the last prompt, which traits do I think are more prominent than others, and why do I think that? Again, I chose the hardest word, his conscientiousness. I had it a while ago. So his conscientiousness stands out the most to me. He is hardworking and bold and dependable. He is confident, and all of his speeches or talks are like a life lesson. I'm like I said, I'm always tearing up, or even when his daughter Scout calls out the old man when she's at the sheriff's office, and they feel bad and they go home. So also his agreeableness, his kind-hearted and trustworthy. I didn't rate him very low in eroticism because I know he's learning his lessons about grief on through the movie, but all in all, he's a calm and even-tempered man. All right, that's all for tonight. Thank you.